The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood Redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live. Success is the new black, featuring in-depth interviews with today's top businessmen and women. Black Hollywood Live. Hollywood Redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Success is the New Black.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of Success is the New Black. I'm Ron Moore, and this time I have my co-host back with me.
Hey, I'm back, everyone. It's English Cleveland.
She is back in the house. You have a good time for your birthday last week?
I had a great, too much fun.
Too much fun? Okay, well, we won't talk about that on the air. But joining us in studio today is Mr. Lawrence Charles, the founder of Charles & Company Organic Tea Company, and he has a lot to tell us today. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been a good long day, but we got you in here, and I'm sure a lot of people want to hear your story. So take us back to the beginning. Where are you from?
I'm from Canton, Ohio. Born and raised, and I was raised by a single mother. Mm-hmm. Both parents dealt with their own struggles. I kind of had to fight against the school system a bit. They kind of sorted me below my aptitude, so it was a bit of a struggle as well. Mm-hmm. So I was able to kind of fight through that system, but I just got tired, and I gave up in high school. So I barely got through. I had about a 1.2 GPA. You actually had to round a 2 off at the end because it just kept going.
Just trailed off.
Just trailed off. And and it was one of those things where, when I finished high school, I pretty much was surviving home. Mm-hmm. And, and dealing with the complexity of that and not truly understanding that there was more beyond high school, how to get there.
Right.
So what happened was I was able to get to college on my talent. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up going to design school in Pittsburgh. So that was my start and that was my beginning. And so I studied industrial design and became a product designer. Graduated at the top of my class, and from there I was recruited from one of my one of my college professors, and I was a head designer on a children's startup television series, which went on to win 3 Telly Awards against some juggernauts like Fox Kids and Disney.
Nice. Cool.
And that was it. And right about that time was when Tommy Hilfiger came calling.
Oh, nice.
Let's jump back for a quick second.
That's what I was going to say. Let's go back for a second.
Yeah, that was like the quick summary. You said you finished high school with a 1.2?
1.2 GPA, skin in my teeth.
How did you not drop out?
It's funny because I was pretty close to that, but one of the things I did understand was that I had to, by all means, finish. But at the time, it was a bit of a challenge. Both of my parents were on drugs, and so I kind of had to deal with a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what that definition of socioeconomics and that lower socioeconomic class level is very true. So you fight against those things in terms of doing your homework at home and things of that nature. And so those were a lot of my challenges. My grandmother and grandfather being patriarchs were really key in our family. So, I guess you can, you could probably size that up to a lot of African-American kids growing up. So I dealt with a lot of complication, but I understood. I was very introspective, so I looked at things a little bit differently. I kind of was looking outside of myself as well as within. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to understand a lot of things that, was going on, and I understood, that I could at least get by. And, once I'm out of that clutch of what that system was, I could then power on and do some things that I really enjoy and I'm passionate about.
Right.
So,
So what did you find yourself as a child gravitating towards more so, since you know, in your home, your parents were on drugs. As a child, what did you find yourself finding interest in?
Sure. So I gravitated toward, grew up in church, sang in a choir. I didn't think I could really sing, but, you know, so the people in the choir was very nice to me.
Yeah.
So,
Let Lawrence on. Let him sing.
so that was the family atmosphere that I absolutely needed. But I played sports. I mean, I tried to play every sport that there possibly was. I was one of those random kids that said, you know, well, why aren't there any black kids swimming?
Right.
So I went out for swimming, and I broke over 20 records,
Wow.
3-year Letterman. Yeah, and you know, I went to states in track, and I played football, and I played free safety, and there's a lot of really historic people that kind of came from that area of playing
nice.
football and sports. That's where football was invented,
Yeah.
Canton, Ohio.
Yeah, the NFL Hall of Fame, well, Pro Football Hall of Fame is located there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you, usually with some people, there's a switch or something happens, there's a mentor, there's someone that changes their way of thinking. But you seem to have already had that foundation laid down for you amidst a lot of turmoil. Is that credited to your grandparents, or is that credited to just things you saw in the community, or was that something you decided for yourself?
Sure. So you know, it's not that my mother wasn't a good mother. She was dealing with her own struggles.
Right.
And as well as my grandparents. But at about 12 or 13, there was a mentor that came into my life. He was Rick Senefton. He was actually the chief city editor of the newspaper back home. He took me to my first baseball game. So I was able to grow up watching AAA baseball and watching the Cleveland Indians play.
Oh, nice.
And I was fortunate to be able to see some of those things, but I wouldn't have had that experience unless he stepped into my life, and a lot of even what my language is today.
Right.
You know, he asked, by my family name, Angel, would you him and his wife, would you like us to, correct some of your language? Because I would use a lot of double negatives and things of that nature because, I just said what I heard. And I said, yeah, sure. I couldn't finish the sentence around him.
Where'd you meet him?
It was tough.
Where'd you meet him?
He just stepped into, it was one of those things where he looked at my mother's life and he knew of my mom, and there was some, like I said, she was a good person, but she dealt with her own struggles. And so he ended up coming into, her life to try to help in some way. He was one of those guys that, he believed that, teachers in the inner city shouldn't live in the suburbs. They should live in the city.
Right.
So they could pay the taxes in the city and things of that nature. So he thought about the fairness of all. And he looked at me as just being this, raspy voiced kid.
Yeah.
I just had all the hopes and dreams of everyone else. And he looked at that and he thought that, why shouldn't he help and do something to help me? So, and it was a very special moment, going to my first baseball games and really fall in love there and doing the wave for the wrong team because I had no clue.
Like, is this how I do it?
Yeah.
Are you still in contact with him?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely. Great. Yeah, consider him my surrogate father. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Very, very great guy. But, and I had some mentors as far as teachers and people that I looked at. Commercial art teacher was he was trained by an Italian master.
Okay.
And so my understanding of art came from a very, great level of understanding. And that was one of those things that, I was able to kind of take with me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So we're going to speed it up. So then after you said you started, Tommy Hilfiger started calling.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
How does one go from that to
college to Tommy Hilfiger?
Yeah. So there's a lot of serendipity. I'm fortunate because, I believe in a lot in my faith. So when I was in Pittsburgh, I was a starving artist, and there was just a time where I wanted to, of course, try to make some extra money.
Right.
So I had my photos, and I dropped them off at different casting offices and whatnot. So it was a a big surprise that I came home and on my voicemail was Tommy Hilfiger's office in New York, and that was my entry into modeling.
Wow.
I did an amazing show with Tommy Hilfiger, Rebecca Romaine. It was Stamos at the time, and that set me off to New York City.
Wow.
Wow.
So you had big city dreams. So when you arrived, what was like the first thing that excited you? And like your ambition, how did you feel? Like moving from Ohio and then Pittsburgh and then New York, and now you're modeling, and you're living the dream, which a lot of people wish and dream that they could. So
Sure.
tell me about it.
Sure, absolutely. Being a model in New York was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was a lot that I was able to absorb in terms of just this bigger city.
Right.
In terms of the fun of being VIP, and the celebs and the model parties,
Right.
and that was all exciting for me. I didn't have that experience, and so it taught me a lot about life, about quality, about
Right.
my booker would explain to me what good clothes were, the quality in the clothes, and I would use terms like expensive, and he hated it.
Right.
I mean, it would just make him just look at me with evil eyes.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, these pants look like Elf should be wearing them, and they're
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
And and he was one of the ones that told me, just stop saying that. all
Right.
Yeah.
It's what you want.
Yeah.
So, and I started to understand that, you have to think a little bit bigger.
Yeah. What was your favorite outfit? And what years were these too? Because you're speaking of the monstrous Tommy Hilfiger years when I'm assuming where he was literally
Booming.
one of the top designers in the world.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It was during a time where he, I believe it was his brother started working with J-Lo and things of that nature, and and he, the Tommy Hilfiger Corporation, and I think a lot of people had their eyes on Ralph Lauren, and
Yeah.
they wanted to be a lot like him in a lot of ways, and black or white, so those were some incredible times. But one of the things that one of the outfits that I really enjoyed, one of the brands that I truly enjoyed was Tom Ford's Yves Saint Laurent. That was when he was over the house.
Yes.
And that's one of my favorite brands.
Yeah.
I just love the black tie, just that beauty, just that artistry. I mean, just that, it's just something romantic
Timeless.
about it. It's
Yeah.
timeless. I love that classic look
Yeah.
and approach. Yeah, and that's what I bring into the brand is this Ralph Lauren purple label, Tom Ford, this beauty, just this essence of just this romantic, aristocratic lifestyle that we would find back in the 18th century or
Right.
the Edwardian times of
Right.
England and things of that nature. So, and that's what I'm bringing back in that beauty.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah, man. Especially for a black man.
Right.
To acknowledge that from the 1800s and places and things that you could never do back then, or you would have been killed, hung, or whatever. But to bring that level of sophistication and to do it today and show people how far we've actually come. And granted, we still have a long way to go, but that's I commend you for that, brother.
Thank you.
Definitely.
What do your grandparents and your parents think like now when they see your journey and they see how far you've came? What do they say?
Well, my mother, she's doing wonderful.
Okay.
And she looks at me as though this is what I'm supposed to do, and of
Right.
course. And but she also congratulates me in every which way, and she reflects on those times where, it was tough for us as kids, and her being a parent. So she looks at it as in a very proud way, and in fact, she just texted me the other day to let me know how special, a big publication had released an article regarding, my experience and everything. So
Yeah.
she really, truly loved the story.
That's
Cool.
great. Do you have any siblings?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. I have a big sister. She is really, really cool. She is an Army instructor,
Ooh.
computer science, math major.
Okay.
And I have a little brother. He's getting his master's in architecture.
Oh, wow.
And, the artists kind of run in the family, left, right brain. A little sister, she is a mathematician. And I have a couple of little sisters below her too as well.
Oh, nice.
It's a big family.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big family.
When you were in New York and you were modeling and you're starting to make those modeling checks, were you throwing money back at the family, helping out, or was there any bitterness, or was it all support and love the entire time?
Well, no, it was a lot. It was all support and love, and a lot of my friends. Everyone knew.
Yeah.
There was a lot of word on the streets as to what was going on, and so everyone knew, and so they all supported me in every which way, and they're very proud of me. All my friends, and in the money. New York is one of those places where it's like 50 Cent's movie, but
Yeah.
instead it's get rent or die trying.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, you're right. It's
That's
ridiculous.
very true. To jump back to design school for a quick second, because I read that you actually lived in a homeless shelter for part of the time that you were in this design school. Is that how it pretty much went down?
Yes.
Wow.
So I did. I lived in a homeless shelter. It's called Wood Street Commons in Pittsburgh, and I learned a ton there. Being a kid, I was taken under the wing of some older guys, all walks of life. I mean, you'd be surprised. Managing directors, engineers, people that just have amazing lives, amazing careers that just found themselves there. So it taught me how fragile life was, and that's where I learned how to play chess to the level of chess master, so I learned quite a bit, and I was very fortunate to be there. It taught me about life.
Yeah, because you learn, you can't help but to learn in that type of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy that The Pursuit of Happiness is modeled after, I believe I want to say Chris Ivory, but I'm not sure if that's his actual name. But his story is similar to that, and just that drive. You can be as low as you can possibly get, but it doesn't matter. You still have the mindset to go forward with your vision, which is obviously where we're headed to with this interview. We're going to definitely get into that.
Well, in my case, you can't go any faster in that situation, right? And you can't go backwards either.
Right.
So it taught me how to be present. And in being present, I was able to look at who I am and, who I was then. And I was able to look at what I could possibly do. And, and I think I heard Russell Simmons saying it the other day that, it's about being present, and but I was fortunate because it taught me that everyone is a dignitary in every which way, right? And everyone is royal in their own right. So it taught me how to love people, regardless of what circumstance they come from.
Right.
So, and I was fortunate in that because I could have easily been in a situation where, a lot of things were given to me, or where I just took off and life just became a lot more easy.
Right.
But, God in his way helped me still.
Right.
And I was able to really, truly learn. Yeah.
What was when you would go to bed at night there, what was the things that recounted in your head, like the biggest dream that you might have had, or what kept you while you were there every day?
Sure. So in being present, everyone was my friend. In terms of, you would imagine some of the quirks that you'll find in some people that will be in a homeless shelter, right? And I had a funny story. I was telling a friend of mine that, there was a guy that would, I would have my door cracked and you could hear him walk down the hall and he would he would just go, all right, down the hall. No one's in front of him, no one's behind him. I knew his name, and I just say, hey. And he was like, hey, Lawrence, how's it going? And I was going good. How's it going with you? And, he goes, same old soup, just warmed over.
Oh, God.
And so, I mean, it's just so funny because, this is someone's brother, right? Someone's son, or someone's father. And, but I looked at it in its truest form of it being human connection.
Right.
And, and I would say back to him, so what soup is it? And I said, it must be some really bad soup.
Right.
And he goes, cream of celery. I said, man, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How important was your faith to you during this?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, because when you think about it, how disappointed could you possibly be in that situation, right? So, so if I measured everything by, what the world told me the value of everything was, then I wouldn't be satisfied there. In order to be present, you have to be okay with where you're at for right now.
Right.
And, but be working toward a better tomorrow. And in a marathon, you have to put one foot in front of each other. That's one less step you have to take. So, and I was fortunate in all those things, but, and my faith was, very important to me then.
So being present, but what was your dream? What did you think about every day?
Sure.
What was your goal that you had?
I was always dreaming. So, my girlfriend at that time, I remember she purchased for me it was a sculpture of this prince that was laying. It had his head on a rock and looking up in the air, his leg crossed. And I think it was Steve Blackshear. It's called The Dreamer. And she told me that this is you. And I just went, wow, that's expensive.
Your favorite word.
So I was always dreaming. And, I looked at people like Steve Jobs. I remember when, there was a point in which the iMac was about to come out. I didn't understand anything about Steve Jobs or anything, where he was going. And I just remembered I told everybody, just sell everything you own and buy Apple.
Right.
And I heard some interesting comments coming back and told me, you're crazy.
Right.
And here it is, their stock went from the red to tripled. And so I started connecting the dots because I didn't understand what my talent or my passion was.
Right.
I knew that I wanted to double major in industrial design and also in finance. I looked at schools like Wharton and, just salivated. But the fact of the matter was that I needed things that helped me to connect to who I am in terms of my talent and passion.
Right.
So when you said pursuit of happiness, it was almost like Will was on a basketball court and he told his son, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. You have to protect it. So when I talk to kids, I tell them, I said, look, it's like LeBron going to the basketball hoop. You got to protect the ball until you can get to the point in which you can release it. And so I was learning what I had. So I understood that I was kindred to Steve Jobs. I learned about Warren Buffett through looking at the stocks that I would invest in and wondering, who's this guy that keeps investing? Like, why is his name in everything that I want to be in?
Right.
Who's this Warren Buffett guy? And so I started to understand that I'm kindred to Warren Buffett. So I started to realize where my aptitude was, and it is, and I started to connect with where I could be and where I could go. And I started to reject the idea that I needed to work for someone. I started to accept the idea that I can create my own world.
Yeah.
That I can create the next Apple. I can create. So those were the things that I dreamed about. Those were the things I thought about. Laying in that that small room, sharing those showers. That was what I thought about. I thought about life, and I thought about what was possible.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially with that mindset, a lot of entrepreneurs, they all have that same approach. I remember years ago, the first time it was told to me that there's two types of people in the world: people who want to work and those that'll let them. And those that'll let them are the ones that are creating their own vision, and they create industry, they create the situations, and yeah, that right there is the essence of what we want to get out of this show.
Right.
To let entrepreneurs know, to let people with dreams, to let people who want to aspire to that next level to know it's okay. You know, don't be shy. Don't get scared of your dreams, and don't, more importantly, don't get scared of success.
And just like you said, don't let anyone take it from you. Don't yeah, it's so powerful. Like, you've been holding on to this and molding it since you were a child, and now, you know, your dreams are fulfilled. Everything that you were laying in the shelter dreaming and thinking about is on the table here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's literally on the table.
So
Absolutely.
start us off. You discovered tea in New York.
Yes.
How does that come about?
Sure. So I started drinking tea in New York, and of course, you know, New York is a 24/7 city.
Right.
So when I kind of stumbled upon what was my favorite was this Japanese green tea. It was called sencha. And I had no idea what I was drinking. I just watched this stuff float in the glass.
Yeah.
And thought it was awesome. But the thing that happened that just turned me into the direction I'm in now is that it quieted the city down. I mean, this is a chaotic city. And so when it quieted down, those were my moments. I mean, literally, having tea pulled me out of this rat race that I was in of get, rent, or die trying.
Right.
In this 24/7 city, and it just allowed me to have this moment. And that was what was special for me. So I always wanted to start a tea company from that point. So I started looking at people like King Charles II, who actually, prior to him, tea was an abysmal failure in England. And so it was King Charles II, influenced by his wife, who was a Portuguese princess, that experienced this higher social living around tea, this communion around tea, of friends coming together, catching up, socializing. So it was something that King Charles looked at, and he wanted that for England. So he integrated that into the higher fabric, the higher society of England.
Right, that's when I say society.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so this aristocratic society. And so from that point forward, everyone had to have their 2 cups daily. And it was an aristocratic thing. So it was a beautiful, beautiful moment of that.
That's why I wanted to ask you, why do you feel like Americans don't drink as much tea as, you know, British people? But you explained it.
Sure.
It's definitely like a society, because they love it out there. They're obsessed with it. And I mean, people enjoy it here, but I don't really know anyone. Like, I just started getting into like tea. Like, if I've had a bad day, I've noticed if I go home and like take a bath and have a cup of tea, like you said, it slows down your whole world, and I can sleep better. I just like wake up feeling refreshed. Like, it's really powerful. Tea is really powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember watching when the health craze started picking up in America toward the late 90s, early 2000s, and green tea became the hotness.
Yes, that's my
Everyone
favorite.
wanted green tea.
Yeah.
And for its weight loss benefits and everything that goes along with it. And people started learning more about tea, but mostly here, the thing that caught on was green tea, mostly. And I'm originally from the South, so
Sure.
it's everything down there is sweet tea. That was all I heard years and years and years, decades of sweet tea with so much sugar, and it leads to a lot of health problems in the South.
It does.
But what you've done and what you've created is a completely original brand for America. So how did you, when you started, did you know that this was your vision, or was that something that kind of cultivated itself along the way?
Sure. So the fortunate thing I had was I had my first advisor that, explained to me clearly, that your customer will let you know what you need to do. And so not having the capital to start a company like I wanted to, and being on a bicycle with a backpack and literally going into neighborhoods that I thought would buy my tea. That's how I started selling it. What happened from there was customers would ask, well, Lawrence, can you show us, come over, say, Saturday and show us how to use your tea? I think it's amazing what you're doing. Sure. And so there went the whole afternoon tea, the whole start of it all for Charles and Company.
You started a whole like aristocrat over here. You started the whole society of the British way over in New York.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Where were you getting the tea? Yeah, on a bike.
On a bike with
New
a
age,
backpack.
right? Where did you get the tea from? Where were you
Sure.
were you manufacturing it or?
So there's just a couple plantations. So the Yunnan province is in China, the Blue Mountains over in India, and South Africa, and that's it. And so we just try to keep things very simple because, of course, we're boutique.
Right.
We're expanding in great ways, but we also keep things very simple in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were getting it, when you were riding around on your bike, where were you getting it from?
Sure. So I had to depend on brokers at the beginning to help me to establish these relationships and to bring it in. And then from there, I began to have more of a complete understanding and begin purveying and things of that nature.
Right.
So yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. And then you don't really, especially like for Black people, you don't really ever hear Black, like you were saying, like unless in the South you hear sweet tea, but you don't really ever hear Black people like into tea, like
Yeah.
like you.
But Charles and Company's trying to change that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to definitely tell you, I mean, so I've been really fortunate. I ride some amazing coattails. Some of the other people that were a part of this journey were some really amazing celebrity chefs
Okay.
that said, Lawrence, I think what you're doing is awesome.
Right.
And pulled me in. And so, in fact, one of the dinners that I do, this amazing chef, her name is Helena Henderson, Malibu Farm. It's ranked #1 in Angelino magazine, also #2 in Vogue magazine. So I've been fortunate in that sense.
That's
And
so
so
nice.
I've inspired some.
How was the tea the connection? Was that what made these connections happen with people who could help you get to the next level? Or was it more, would you attribute it more to your product or to your drive?
I think it's a little bit of both. So you have to have great product. You have to be able to inspire people. And one of the things that I was fortunate of is that I had this understanding of this class that I was putting into everything that I was doing. And so without me even thinking about it, people began saying, your brand is like the Ralph Lauren of tea, which was incredible
Yeah,
to
it's
hear.
high praise.
Thank you.
It really
Very high
is. Your
praise.
presentation, everything. I haven't tried it. I can't wait to try
Yeah, we're
it.
about to.
But
Thank you.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it looks great.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful.
I mean, we watched him
Set it up.
set this thing up, and yeah, that was so much care in the preparation that I know this has got to be amazing. Yeah.
So before we try it, because we're healthy, we're trying. What is the health benefits that we can learn from drinking tea? And also, what is your favorite one to drink?
So I'm a very simple guy.
Okay.
I love breakfast.
Okay.
The complexity of it, but it's still simple.
Right.
Same here.
And so in terms of the health benefits of tea, tea is one of those really interesting plants. It all comes from a bush called the tea bush. And from that, you'll get white, green, black, oolong. And within these leaves, you have this amazing amount of antioxidants. You have these proteins, which amino acids, and of course the antioxidants help to fight against aging, free radicals, and just that extra damage to your body. So it helps you to stay young,
Right.
it helps you to stay fresh. a natural level of caffeine in it. So it's just enough to keep you alert,
Right.
to be able to focus and have clarity. And so, tea is one of those things that also hydrates you. And it's one of those things that helps fight against some cancers and some cardiovascular disease as well. So it's a very, very special plant.
So what is the difference between, is there a health benefit difference between drinking it from a tea bag or steeping it from loose leaf tea?
So there's really not as much difference, but there is a difference in the quality
Okay.
of the leaf.
Okay.
So what you find in a tea bag is pretty much denigrated. Like, so it's broken down, ground up. You're going to get a lot of dust from the machines because the machines can't handle larger batches like that. So,
Right.
so you're going to get a lower quality. And so that will cut into the value of the health benefit that you actually get from it. We do tea loose.
Okay.
And so you'll get 100% of the benefit within the tea.
Right. Okay, cool. Did you hear about Oprah joining with Tivana? She joined, now she has her own chai tea with their brand.
Good for her.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, tea is becoming so popular now,
Yeah,
and
it
I
is.
just heard about that. And then when we saw we were interviewing you, I'm like, yes, tea is becoming fashionable.
Well, yeah, let's
Absolutely.
try a little bit while we're still sitting here speaking. I want to ask, who you served a lot of people now. Who was your favorite?
My favorite. Who was my favorite? I would say, I had a lot of fun serving the Duchess, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of York.
The original Fergie.
She was the original.
Right.
And she was amazing, extremely wise, and a beautiful person. And I had a lot of fun. Diane von Furstenberg.
Oh, nice.
She was a challenge. A lot of fun in a great way. But that's
Were you serving them all in New York?
no, Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, cool.
Los
Oh, yeah,
Angeles.
yeah. Who's challenged you the most? Yourself or a customer?
Challenged me the most, probably myself. I'm very hard on myself, very meticulous. Everything that I do. So and I try to be excellent at everything that I do. So I would say myself being the hardest.
Does that lead to any undue amount of stress on you, or that strive for perfection, or can you get to that point where you go, okay, it's as good as I can make it right now?
Sure. So I've learned how to step back a little bit, and I know now how to have the best presentable outcome, and then how to come back and have the follow-on additions to complete that, right? So I learned from tech guys and their, the lean startup and, just that minimum viable product, and then you come back and you keep adding to it, but you want to get something out. And that's essentially it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can we get some of your people to pour just a little bit of tea for us? And I don't know, do you need to do anything, or are you good?
No, everything
Okay,
is
cool.
fine.
Everything is prepared. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I do want to continue talking to you while this is going on right now. But
Absolutely.
I just have to try this because it's.
And
been
this is
sitting
the
here.
breakfast one?
So this is my creamy Earl Grey.
Okay.
It's one of
I love
my
Earl Grey.
popular ones.
Oh, good. Do you add milk to your tea?
I don't add milk to my
You
tea.
don't?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
At times, I may do a slice of lemon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Should we
I'll-
cheers?
Shall we?
Cheers over tea.
Over Charles and Company.
Oh, yeah, it's really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Smooth.
So my approach is a traditional British tea, but with a little American twist to it. I like tea to not shock you.
Right.
If you're going to relax, it should be smoother.
Very smooth.
And I think about those things in my application.
That's really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because I'm normally not a tea drinker, but that is really good. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very smooth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's incredibly
And you can
smooth.
definitely tell the difference between loose leaf and steeping like tea in a bag.
Yes.
Tea
I want to
bags.
keep drinking, but we got to do the show.
Help yourself.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what I brought.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So you can use a slice of lemon, or a little cream. So I brought here. You can play around a little bit with
Okay.
your tea sandwiches
Okay.
when you do a setting. So this happens to be quinoa wraps. So it's a little bit of a different take, but that is something that's very healthy.
Okay.
A lot of people, they don't like to have bread
Right.
or the carbs. Also, I have cranberry scones. Those are very good. I have beautifully sliced whoopie pies, which are a lot of fun.
Right.
I have a rocky road and I have a lemon, and
That's good.
those are absolutely amazing. And I have to give a lot of credit to my very, very good friends and my chefs. Chef Dan at one of my incredible restaurants, Peddler's Fork, and and they take care of all my back house
nice.
stuff for me.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
absolutely.
So is there pairings like with wine, with tea? Are we supposed to pair it with, like, for instance, your Earl Grey? Are we supposed to pair it with anything in particular?
Sure. So what I like to do in terms of adding my take on things, I like to pull back as much as possible.
Okay.
So a lot of times people's tastes are a little bit different. So, the value of what you add personally would be greater than what I tell you to,
Okay.
right? So, and that's the take that I generally use when I serve.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How big is your company now?
Now, it's interesting because we are the only American tea brand associated with British royalty. We
Huge.
absolutely, and so we literally, in terms of cachet, we sit on a mountaintop. I
Right.
mean, we've surpassed every American tea brand, right? But we've quietly done it, and so the value that we have is incredible. So now we're taking that cachet and we're slowly cashing it in. And there's some really, really incredible things on the horizon, and some things I would love to talk about, but they're actually in the works right now.
Oh, good.
absolutely.
How exciting.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, man. I'm actually tripping right now because I still want to keep drinking this tea.
Thank you.
So to have that connection, to be the only American tea company with that type of cachet, as you just said, what has kept the other brands, the monsters of the industry, from you, pretty much, from trying to come in, take your ideas, or buy your entire company?
Sure. So we've been going under the radar, right? And purposely so. A lot of what we do isn't talked about on our website on purpose, because we work with people that know. And if they didn't know, then they probably didn't supposed to know. And so there's great value in that, in building a brand.
Definitely.
So it builds, the strength of our value.
Right.
But in terms of companies coming in, early on, I was brought in by the #1 tea packer in the U.S., #1 in India, #3 in the U.K. And it was the owner and the president literally set me down with my advisor, who was a venture capitalist, and offered the opportunity to be absorbed by them, to have everything that I needed to build the brand within their structure. And it was early on. And so I looked at my advisor and I said, I'd rather starve. So there you go.
Wow. Yeah, that is gambling on yourself big time.
So how long has your brand been around, your tea?
So we've only been around 3.5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're really new, but
Mm-hmm.
very in a very good position already.
Yeah, very special.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You've been special and blessed your whole life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
When you got your first chance for an investor, what went through your head?
So it's interesting because, you know, you have to start to weigh the value of what it is that you want to do and what it is that your future holds. And so, you know, one of those things with having a company is that you can give away the future because in their mind it doesn't yet exist.
Right. Right.
So I've been fortunate to put some incredible people around me on my advisory board, like Sheila Johnson, Christopher Williams from Chris Williams Capital.
Yeah.
You know, Richard Clayton, ex-VC. He just told me the other week that I said, hey, I just worked with this amazing British brand. It's owned by Estee Lauder. And he goes, huh, yeah, Leonard Lauder. Yeah, we're good friends. And so, you know, and he knew Ralph Lauren. And Ralph Lauren tried to sell close to him, and you know, in his stores. So I had in my amazing publicist, Joy Donnell. You know, and I have a number of other people too. So I've put people around me to kind of shape what the value of our company is, because these people that are around me are strategic.
Right.
They are where we're supposed to be. So it does give an outline, a shape to where we are going. And so what I do is I give definition to the intangibles of what we are in the
Right.
future.
Right.
So the conversations do become a little interesting. And you know, we're fielding some really interesting conversations. So
Is your approach to business, is it similar to your approach to your chess game? Because you mentioned earlier, and what you just said about strategy sticks out. So I'm betting that this is almost a real life financial chess game.
Yeah.
you know, absolutely. Queen pawn opening. A lot of times it throws people for a loop, and you don't see what's coming. So I think there's great value in that. You know, you get respect by doing, and so in a lot of ways it is a lot like chess for me, and the value of that. So I learned a ton, and I probably exercise that more than I think in terms of chess. Yeah.
Nice.
So eventually, do you want your tea to be in Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and all health food places?
We were actually given some offers of those,
Okay.
and some number one retail outlets that are grocery. Fortunately, we didn't have the capital to capitalize on that at the time, because where we found ourselves is now not even close to that.
Right.
So, you know, being a lifestyle brand, we're working with some more interesting retail development.
Oh, nice.
So
yes.
the timing and the opportunity have definitely blessed you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's definitely key, especially in business. Timing means all.
Yes.
It's just like in comedy. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And race is your strength. So if I show the world, like Muhammad Ali might say, right, then the world knows.
Right.
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 So that's that.
How was it when you had the chance to serve Sir Anthony Hopkins?
Sure. So he enjoys my tea, and that was actually my good buddy that was, with him as he was drinking. And, so he photobombed the picture for me.
Yeah.
But I'm fortunate to have people like Sir Anthony Hopkins, Kelly Slater, Steven Tyler, some really, really incredible people that are very supportive of the brand. Sheila Johnson,
Nice.
incredible customer,
Yeah.
as well on my advisory board, like I said, and she's amazing. She's like Mark Cuban, but a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Owns 3 professional teams, like fleet of private jets. The only luxury resort that opened last year, 340 acres,
Wow.
Middleburg, Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have to have capital to do some of those, to be able to set up a luxury resort right now
Yeah.
in today's
Yeah.
economy, and to
Right.
have the backing for it. Just ask a lot of those guys in Vegas. It didn't work out too well for some of them. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Okay, well, I've been blown away by this interview
Me too.
so far. Yeah.
It's more than what I expect. Not that I didn't expect, but it's just amazing. I
Thank you.
think your brand is amazing. You're such a great. I'm so glad we were able to have you on. You're a
Thank
great
you.
person.
I've been fortunate, and I really appreciate being on, and I really appreciate just this moment.
Yeah. And you are motivational more than just your tea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You originally said you, well, I don't know if you said it on the air because I can't remember when we had the conversation. It may have been before we started. But you said you thought about not naming the company after yourself because you have a phenomenal name, Lawrence Charles.
Yeah, it's great.
Who knew it was so British, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Your mom knew what she was doing.
She did. She did. I mean, she did put a couple tight sweaters on me saying I was going to be a businessman.
Well, it worked.
What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to name? If you don't mind divulging that, what would have been the name for the company?
So I thought it was important to focus on the whole moment, and I thought about that moment as the perfect company that you keep, and so it was something within that sphere of just defining the moment and the people within that moment. So, and then my advisor said, "Hey, your mother named you well, so name the company after yourself." And so I've been fortunate of the serendipity of it all is that I share the same name as the King of England that integrated tea into
Right.
aristocratic lifestyle of
Yeah.
England. So I'm fortunate in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's definitely the company that you keep. You just sit around and you have great tea with great people. And you don't, it's like, you don't go to a bar and order tea. When you're ordering tea, you're sitting down with someone that you actually like.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you're sharing great stories and great moments. So tea is definitely like a gathering drink.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to. I need a little of this tea.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you.
We have about roughly about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to give you possibly the most loaded question of the interview. You said earlier you didn't know who you were before you started. You were trying to find yourself and what it was you liked and what you were passionate about. Today, who is Lawrence Charles?
Today, Lawrence Charles. Should I talk in the third person?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Lawrence Charles is this complex human being that cares deeply, is kind, is a strong man, and that has a classic approach to things, that believes in the beauty of things as a designer, that has this amazing canvas that he's painting this beautiful mural on, and this mural is a picture of where he sees Charles and Company going, and this beauty of just everyone having this opportunity to buy into this lifestyle of just taking this moment and to just be able to slow down and to have your own moments and to know that you're a dignitary too, that you're royal too in your own right, and that within this you will find your own strength and your own power in these moments, whether it's just with you alone or whether it's with some friends.
Yeah.
And this should be a beautiful thing.
It's like Thanksgiving every day, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you drink tea every day, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many cups do you drink?
I just usually drink maybe 3 cups, depending on if I'm behind my laptop or I'm
Yeah.
on the go.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'm in a car a lot.
It's in the mug and yeah.
Absolutely.
So does the tea make the moments or does the moment make the tea?
So the tea makes the moments because of the history behind it and because of what happens when you set up this beautiful moment, right? So it's simple, right? But you have a cup, you have your saucer, you have your spoons, you have your pot. For the taller pot is for hot water. The shorter pot is for your tea. The British style of drinking tea is that it's a lot of times a lot stronger.
Right.
So you have your hot water to dilute it a bit. And so when you take all of this and you set it in front of you, just for, say, 5 minutes, it instantly pulls you away because of just the beauty of it all.
Right.
And it's a feast for your eyes. So when you talked about health earlier and you talked about the health aspect within the tea, there's an incredible large health aspect outside of the tea. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. But it helps you in your mental health, in your physical health,
Right.
your mental well-being, just to be able to communicate with others. And how much are we lacking that today? To be able to socialize with others.
Right.
Just think about it. Go grab your neighbor, right? Maybe she's like, elderly or something in her 90s or something. Just have a tea with her.
And the conversations
take
you
a
have.
moment.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And just imagine what value is there.
Right.
Right?
You're right.
So it pulls you out and it just recharges you and it helps you become human.
No, you're right.
Helps you to be present.
Yeah, definitely clarity, because it's not like you're gonna, sit around with your friends and talk about, fake reality TV over a cup of tea. Like the conversations and the things that you would talk about and the clarity that you would talk about over tea could change, a life. You never know. And
It leads to highbrow conversations.
yeah, very highbrow.
Yeah. War or peace have been decided over shy time.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, in closing, for any struggling entrepreneur, anyone with a dream, any high schooler who sees this and thinks about what it is they want to do with their life, they have this idea. What advice do you have for all of the dreamers?
Sure. So, number one, truly think out what it is that you're trying to do. Find an advisor. And that advisor should be something in business that might be close to what it is that you want to do. A lot of times I look at looking outside the box, look outside your discipline. You'll get a lot more value there than within that discipline, right? Because they have greater perspective. Then find a mentor too. And be persistent. Be persistent some more. Be kindly persistent. Because you own the milestones, right? You could wake up the next day, you could lay in the bed, or you can get up and you can make some phone calls. You can set some meetings up. It's important to network. It's important to, just go outside of your discipline and the people that you bring around yourself. But specifically in terms of what it is that someone might want to do, an SBDC is good because you need small, short bursts of education that'll help you in simple things like your taxes, your corporation, things of that nature. I'm fortunate that I have some incredible attorneys behind my patents over at DLA Piper, Irella Manella, Manat, Phelps and Phillips, so behind my corporation. and I'm working on some new patents and trademarks. And I have some incredible, powerful lawyers that are taking care of those things. But I had to go out there and find those people.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been fortunate that they've taken me in that way. But you have to look. God can't steer a parked car.
You're right.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Amen
powerful.
to that.
Powerful.
Really powerful. I don't even know who
can't
can
steer
Yeah.
a parked car.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so glad that you came today.
Thank you.
You even like said stuff to me that I'm like, hello, wake up. So
Yeah, that was a phenomenal interview. I want to thank you for coming through. Definitely.
Thank you.
Where can people try your product, get your product at, your company website, or if you have a Twitter handle?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So you can purchase us online. Go to our website at cnctea.com. It's only 6 letters, cnct.com. Or you can go to our Facebook at Charles & Company. So it's Charles with a letter N, Company. Twitter at Charles, letter N, Company.
okay.
And find us there.
Okay, great.
Ooh, that's it in English. Where can they find
You
you?
guys can find me on Instagram at Pink English, also on Twitter, English Speaks.
And you can always follow me, talk to me, do whatever you want to do on Twitter, Rome the Ruler. That is my Twitter handle. And you can also find me on Facebook under Rome Moore. Oh, wow. This has been a great time. This has been fun.
Thank you.
It really has been.
Thank you.
For Mr. Charles, for English Cleveland, for myself, this has been another episode of Success is the New Black on Black Hollywood Live. We are out.
Thank you.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.